What if the kind, quiet old man who lived next door wasn't what he seemed? What if he was a monster hiding in plain sight? This is the true story of Ed Gein, a man whose quiet life concealed a nightmare that would forever haunt the American psyche. In the 1940s, in the sleepy town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, Ed Gein was just a local oddball. To his neighbors, he was harmless, a shy, soft-spoken man who'd help with odd jobs, buy his groceries, and rarely cause a fuss. But behind the peeling paint and boarded-up windows of his dilapidated farmhouse, a darkness was growing, a horror that, once uncovered, would shock the entire nation. Ed's story really begins with his mother, Augusta Gein. She was a fanatically religious woman who ruled her household with an iron fist. Augusta preached that the world outside their farm was a cesspool of sin, and that women, in particular, were vessels of evil, sent to tempt men. She isolated her two sons, Henry and Ed, from the outside world, rarely letting them out of her sight. In 1944, a mysterious tragedy struck the family. A brush fire broke out on their property, and Ed's older brother Henry went missing. When the fire was put out, the townsfolk were puzzled. Ed, who had been with Henry, led the police directly to his brother's body in a clearing, seemingly untouched by the flames. It was as if he knew exactly where to find him all along. No one could prove anything, but the incident left a lingering suspicion. Just a year later, Augusta died, leaving Ed completely alone in the decaying, silent farmhouse. And that's when the real horror began. With his mother gone, Ed's isolation deepened. Soon after, people in the Plainfield area started to go missing. In 1954, a local tavern owner named Mary Hogan vanished without a trace. The bar was found empty, with a pool of blood on the floor, but her body was gone. The locals, not wanting to believe the worst, joked that she must have run off with a man, but Ed would sometimes say strange things to his neighbors. He'd casually mention, "Mary, oh, she's not missing. She's at my house right now." They all laughed it off as another one of Odd Ed's awkward jokes. Nobody was laughing 3 years later. On the cold morning of November 16th, 1957, another woman disappeared. This time, it was Bernice Worden, the owner of the local hardware store. Her son, who was also the town's deputy sheriff, became worried when she didn't come home. He went to the store and found a horrifying scene. The cash register was open, and a trail of blood led out the back door. Looking through the day's receipts, he found the very last one. It was made out to Ed Gein. When police arrived at Ed's farmhouse that cold November night, they were expecting to question a suspect. Instead, they walked into a living nightmare. The first officer to enter the attached shed backed out, pale and about to be sick. Hanging upside down from the rafters was the body of Bernice Worden, dressed out like a deer. But that was just the beginning. What they discovered inside the main house was worse than anything they could have possibly imagined. The farmhouse was a true chamber of horrors. Every corner was filled with gruesome trophies made from human remains. There were bowls fashioned from human skulls, lampshades sewn from human skin, and chairs upholstered with flesh. Scattered around the house were masks made from the faces of women, carefully preserved and labeled. Ed confessed that for years he had been robbing graves, taking the bodies of recently deceased women home to keep him company. But the evidence showed that sometimes he didn't wait for them to die first. During questioning, Ed Gein was disturbingly calm. He spoke about his horrific acts with a detached, matter-of-fact tone, as if describing routine chores. He told investigators he wanted to create a woman suit made of skin so he could become his mother. He wanted to literally crawl into her skin, to feel her presence again, to be her. His quiet, emotionless voice sent a chill down the spine of every detective in the room. The story exploded across the country. Newspapers gave him the chilling nickname, the Butcher of Plainfield. The grotesque details of his crimes became the stuff of legend, inspiring some of the most iconic horror films in history. Norman Bates from Psycho, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs all drew inspiration from the real-life horrors found in Ed Gein's home. Despite the evidence of murder, Gein was found legally insane and unfit to stand trial. He was committed to a state mental institution where he remained for the rest of his life, a quiet and polite patient until his death in 1984. Today, the Gein farmhouse is gone. It was mysteriously burned to the ground a few years after his arrest, likely by angry locals who wanted to erase the stain of his memory from their town. But some say the land itself is still tainted. People who drive past the empty lot at night claim the air feels heavy, that no birds sing in the trees there, and a few even swear that on a quiet night, if you listen closely, you can still hear the faint, humming voice of Ed Gein drifting through the darkness, softly calling for his mother. The story of Ed Gein serves as a terrifying reminder that evil doesn't always announce itself with a roar. Sometimes it wears a friendly smile, lives quietly next door, and waits for years before revealing the true monster hiding underneath. Thank you for watching this deep dive into one of history's most disturbing cases. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more chilling tales from the dark side of history. We'll see you in the next one.